speaking to us. Mark Muschamp, I think a lot of you know him as Muzzy. Veteran of Cove Guardian and a senior volunteer with Sea Shepherd, and is also been known to spend a little bit of time in Gloucestershire. Here he is, Mark.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to move things from the land to the water now. The water in the cove runs red. Every morning for 6 months of the year, followers of Sea Shepherd's Cove Guardian campaign wake up in fear of reading this Facebook status. It means that in Taiji, Japan, more dolphins have been killed at the hands of the murdering fishermen who profit from their death and capture. From September through to March, every morning at 6 a.m, the 12 hunting boats of the fleet set out from Taiji Harbour in search of entire pods of dolphins, so that they can drive them towards the shoreline using a wall of sound. They suffer unspeakable mental torment in the drive process, sometimes enduring up to 4 hours of this noise. Once in the famous Killing Cove, distressed and disoriented, they are either taken for a life of abject misery in some hole of a water park, or they are killed in a long and painful process, their spinal cords severed by a hook pushed through their blowhole. Video evidence has shown their death taking up to 20 minutes or more. This vile method of killing would not be tolerated in any slaughterhouse anywhere else in the world. The dolphins, unlucky enough to be taken for captivity, are violently ripped from their families and taken to tiny pens in the harbour, where they endure a miserable system of training. Often starved of food and made to perform, they are fed a cocktail of tranquilizers and medication to ease the distress they suffer at the hands of their trainers. Some have even chosen to end their lives in these pens, having given up all hope of ever being set free. This killing season alone, over 1,100 dolphins from 6 species have been driven into the cove. 3/4 of them have been murdered. 70 of them have been taken for captivity, and the rest, mainly juveniles, have been driven back out to sea. Many of these juveniles will not survive without their pod, and some get washed up on the shores only days later. This season has seen the fishermen exceed their quota for beautiful Risso's dolphins, with 260 of them being killed. But they have also taken pantropical spotted, Pacific white-sided, bottlenose, pilot whales and striped dolphins. The fishermen of Taiji do not discriminate. They will take whatever species they happen to chance upon when they're hunting. But the big money spinner for these dolphins, for these fishermen, isn't the $200 that they get for a dead dolphin. It's the $200,000 that they get for a captive one. We have to fight the captive market. We have to show the world that keeping any animal in captivity is immoral and unjustifiable. If we can stop the captive industry, we can stop the killings in Taiji. In the Faroe Islands, a similar type of hunting takes place all year round. Pilot whales are driven by a horrific clash of noise towards one of 23 killing coves. Once they are close to the shore, dozens of the island's young men wade into the water, sink a hook into the dolphins' blowholes, and drag them onto the beach in an evil game of tug of war, until the life eventually passes from them. The local kids then play amongst the carcasses until they are butchered. Some of them are thrown back into the water, surplus to requirements, as the demand for their toxic meat has dwindled to insignificance. Unlike Taiji, the only reason given by the Faroese for continuing this atrocity is tradition. And tradition is an excuse we hear over and over again where cruelty to animals is concerned. We hear it with cockfighting, bullfighting, dogfighting, bull running, bear baiting, hare coursing, and of course, on our own doorstep here, it's used by the supporters of fox hunting. These are the traditions of pain and suffering, and they have no place in a modern society. But when it comes to abuses of marine wildlife and the oceans, Taiji and the Faroe Islands are simply the tip of the iceberg. Every year, we are taking and killing 90 billion marine animals. 40% of those are fed to livestock. 30 million tons of fish alone is being fed to pigs, not normally considered to be an aquatic predator. There is almost 8 million tons of plastic in the oceans, destroying habitats and killing wildlife. Over 1 million seabirds are killed every year by plastic alone, and the most common sight for sailors on the high seas now isn't whales and dolphins breaching the water, it is carrier bags and bottles. There are over 200 dead zones in the oceans where no life can exist, and this number is increasing every year. And it seems that our appetite for fish is growing. Every morning, just 3 miles down the road from Taiji, in the next town along, they line up hundreds of yellowfin tuna in the fish market. Most of these tuna are only half the size they would naturally grow to. They have had no chance to grow to their full size because the demand for their tuna is so high. And scientists say that if we catch more than 20,000 tons of bluefin tuna every year, the species will be extinct within 5 years. Companies like Mitsubishi are catching 25,000 tons alone every year, accelerating the rate of extinction just so that they can reap huge profits from its increase in value when we say goodbye to the last bluefin tuna. Europe now has nearly 100 pulse trawlers. These are huge ships that use electric pulses to kill fish before they net them, and this increases their catch tenfold. And I am ashamed to say that a dozen of these ships fly British flags. Fishermen in coral reef areas are killing fish using cyanide and dynamite. 10% of all coral reef has now been completely destroyed, with another 25% damaged beyond repair. The wildlife in these reefs are being taken for food and for the home aquarium trade, robbing the planet of these delicate ecosystems. If we carry on pillaging the oceans, all of the fish that we currently catch will be extinct in 38 years. That is absolutely no time at all. And if the fish disappear, then the whales, the dolphins, and the sharks will disappear. We're already killing over 100 million sharks every year just so that we can put their tasteless fin into an already tasteless soup. But it's not just fish. The Japanese and the Norwegian are even trawling for plankton and krill just to add to the food for livestock. And seals are being culled in enormous numbers in other parts of the world. Every year, up to 500,000 seals are culled in Canada, 90,000 each in Greenland and Namibia, and tens of thousands more in Russia and Norway. On our own doorstep here, companies like the Scottish Wild Salmon Company are shooting seals, supposedly to protect their salmon stock. But these same fishermen are netting salmon at the mouths of the estuaries where they would otherwise go to spawn. They are catching the salmon before they've had the chance to spawn, and then they have the gall to blame the seals for their lack of stock. In all of the planet's oceans, illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing is taking place using enormous trawlers dragging long lines and drift nets up to 50 kilometers in length, indiscriminately killing everything in their path. there are over 200 ships on the official list of illegal fishing vessels, and these are just the ones that we know about. These 200 ships alone catch around $23 billion of fish, and almost all of those are funded by organised crime. It is said that illegal fishing is the main reason that all 8 species of sea turtle are now endangered. We cannot continue to treat our oceans in this way. The oceans are our lifeline. They provide up to 80% of the oxygen that we breathe, and they absorb more than half of the carbon dioxide that we produce. The oceans are performing a great service to humankind, and they will only continue to do so if they are healthy. Our insatiable appetite to consume marine wildlife will eventually bring us to our knees. We have to understand that fish is far more valuable to the human race in the oceans than it ever will be on our plates. Sea Shepherd have campaigns running around the world to stop the types of oceanic destruction I've mentioned. Our campaigns in the Southern Ocean have been incredibly successful over the last 12 years, saving the lives of thousands of whales. Our Cove Guardian campaign, which I'm proud to be a part of, has brought the horrors of Taiji to the attention of the world. And because of our brave activists in the Faroe Islands last year, only one hunt took place. We have used our ships, our aircraft and our small boats to take direct action to save the oceans, and we need your help. You don't have to go to sea and fight Japanese whalers. You can do your bit from home, or you can join one of our land-based campaigns closer to home, such as our Scottish Seal campaign or our campaign in the Faroe Islands. And even if you can't make it on a campaign, you can help the oceans by educating other people. Explain to your friends and family why going to a marine park is contributing to the drawn-out death of dolphins in Taiji. Teach them how eating fish will eventually kill us all. Write to your politicians and tell them how you feel about the culling of seals and the slaughter of whales and dolphins. Join protests like the one in London yesterday and the one here today. Be a voice for all wildlife, land-based or marine, and help keep the tide of compassion turning. People are slowly waking up to the causes that we all believe in. And it won't happen overnight, but you people here are the leaders. You have the opportunity to educate and to make the difference. If you want to come over to Sea Shepherd and talk to us, please do, and please visit the rest of the stalls here. But on behalf of the oceans, their inhabitants, and all wildlife, I thank you all for showing your support here today. Take action and never give up. Thank you.